Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the WTF1 podcast, post-Dutch GP edition. Thanks for watching. Max 1, goodbye.
Lovely.
The end.
Simply lovely.
Yeah, I know, right? Tommy's actually taken off his Max cape for once, which is, probably put it in the wash. Dirty
I've only
rat.
won it 3 times.
Only 3 times
No.
in the last week.
Zandvoort and Abu Dhabi.
Wow, so it's got the special magic dust on it.
Yeah.
That helps you on your way to second Max Verstappen world title. But welcome everybody, welcome to Team WTF1 who are watching live. So thanks so much for those. Tommy and Katie in sync, doing another wave especially for them. This podcast is also once again sponsored by Elgato, our season-long partners, making us almost professionals. It's up for debate, isn't it, really? But with all this amazing equipment, it's a big shout out to them. Without them, we would definitely sound and look a lot worse. And also, we're going to shout out someone who gave us a 5-star review last time out. And this one is from Angusio. Sorry in advance for that butchering of your name, from Australia. Hey guys, love the podcasts from Australia and always listen to the podcast on my way to work. I feel your pain, Matt, being a deep Ferrari fan, even though Esti Bestie is my supported driver. Please keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Angusio. Again, sorry if I got that wrong, but thanks for the love and thanks for listening to us on your way to work. Hopefully you're on your way to work because you listen to this one. So have a great day at work. Right, anyway, 3-word race reviews from fans. I am Z Kyomi. Mercedes were Ferrari. Ethan Maskey, only 3 tyres. And Sullivan Shack, Max can't lose. Sounds like trying to really break the trend here. I like that with a bit of jinxing. But yeah, good. 3-word race review. Yeah, Mercedes, for once, were the ones being spoken about for strategy, which felt like the first time this year that Ferrari weren't the ones under fire. But overall,
they did it for different reasons. They still tried to get the headlines.
They tried. Yeah. But we'll of course dive into that. But let's get my 3-word race review out the way. It's not about Ferrari for a change. Probably my first 3-word race review that isn't about Ferrari. And it is no conspiracy theory. Yes, we're popping off straight away. All you tinfoil hats in the comments. Let's talk about the Uki Sonoda incident and what on earth went on with him. Let's just put it out there, okay? Why would Red Bull get on the blower to their second team, 93 points clear in the championship to their own driver, Sergio Perez, 98 to Leclerc at the time, and go, Yuki, it's time. This Max Verstappen is under fire. He's dominating this Grand Prix. He's going to win no matter what strategy he goes on, really. Let's be honest here. He was probably going to beat, even without the VSC, the 2 Mercedes on fresh tyres. Why on earth would they potentially get kicked out of the championship over something like this? What I said it in a tweet. The smallest little crumb of evidence, and they're finished, washed in the bin. I am celebrating a Leclerc championship, but they wouldn't do that. It makes no sense. Oh, but it's Max's home race. But why? There's no need. There was no need. And also, if they're going to do it, why would they make it so sus? Why didn't Yuki just stop out on track the first time and just stop there? Why would he then start the car again? Oh, that wasn't a great place to stop. Let's try again. Go in the pits. Stop there. Some people were saying, I saw on social media, obviously these are the minority, but I found it hilarious that his pit crew were talking to him in the car, going, "I think you should stop at turn 5.
98 points, Yuki. We've got to do this.
Do it for the team." You know, what are people just thinking? Anyway, there you go. That's,
comes up on Twitter, really. What are people thinking?
My favourite one is Hannah Schmitz, where someone screenshotted her smiling, going, "Haha, they're not even hiding it." It's like she's probably just happy that she's managed to work. Max is winning, and they've worked around a strategy. The funny thing is, yes, the safety car did help Max to a point, but Christian Horner made a good point. And if you actually look into the strategy, part of Max's whole weekend was he was saving all those soft tyres, wasn't he? And the plan was he was just going to extend his stint, go to the soft tyres at the end, and then he'd have just breezed past Hamilton which we saw happen anyway later in the race. So he got essentially a preview of that was exactly what was going to happen. So he's going to win regardless. And all it did was force them onto the hard tyre and actually make the race a little bit more difficult for them. So you're right. Why now? It's absolutely maddening to me. And the problem is, the thing that's so annoying is that the screw up of Abu Dhabi is just going to linger over people forever. And now anytime Verstappen gets any kind of good fortune or Mercedes gets screwed, they'll just play the narrative of a conspiracy theory when you're right. Why now? Last year, they were locked in a championship battle where every single point mattered and AlphaTauri did nothing suspicious at all. That's when, sure enough, say that happened last year with 3 races to go, Verstappen needs a title, then you might be a little bit like, okay.
Or
that's
it
a bit
was
weird.
Sonoda that binned it where Latifi did in Abu Dhabi with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, things like that. And the Latifi one's a perfect example, right? That things happen. Sebastian Vettel blocked Hamilton. He's got nothing to do with that team, or like why would he want to hinder Hamilton? Well, yeah, but why would he want to hinder Hamilton? Then Bottas could have helped Mercedes get back into the race. Why would he do that? People just have accidents and mistakes happen, and this is just a perfect example of when someone starts dominating, people will look for anything that's just like, oh, they were so lucky and this must be the case of why it's happening. It's just absolutely ridiculous, really. Why AlphaTauri would risk, and Red Bull, like their whole integrity. It's maddening. And the thing that scares me is that it even seems to be people that should know better, like jump in this Twitter echo chamber and go, yeah, this is definite, and just don't look at the facts. And there's this Yuki radio message going around that they think somehow proves anything, even though all it's telling him is to go back out on track and stop it in a safe place, because you don't want to, block the pit lane, or they're trying to see if the car's working and then stops. It's just, it makes
that's
what
they
do,
sense.
Right?
They cut, these people cut what they
the context,
think can
like blinkers.
Support their storyline. They'll cut a 9-second bit clip and be like, well, he was told to go out and stop out on track, when the reality was he was going out again. Yuki was saying, I've got a problem, and he can't stop in the pit exit. At the point at which he was communicating, he was going down the pits and leaving the pits. Some people are like, why didn't he stop to the right of the pits? But sometimes those team radio messages aren't exactly aligned with when it's said. There's always going to be some kind of delay. So at that point, he's coming out the pit exit. What are you going to do? Stop on the pit exit? That's even worse. That would close the entire pit lane.
My dad always says to me, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. And I think that's also very true of what's going on. I think it's unfortunate or fortunate timing, however you look at it, but that's also racing. And we've seen it happen countless times before. Look at Imola 2020 with Lewis Hamilton. There was a virtual safety car that benefited him so well, and people then were kicking off about it. So like you say, why would a team risk disqualification when Max is now 100 points clear of the championship? Like, it just makes no sense. I feel bad for Yuki because he's getting all of this abuse over an issue that he clearly felt in the car. Like, I'm a bit confused as to why AlphaTauri were like, no, Yuki, you're making it up. Like, there's not a problem. Like, if a driver warns that there's an issue with the car, then surely the team should listen to them and respect that, rather than being like, no, Yuki, our data says it's absolutely fine, so you must be lying, so just come back to the pits and we'll fix it. So the whole thing is really odd. And with the fact that we didn't really hear from maybe Yuki directly after the race, and there was still a bit of uncertainty about why he had this whole double stoppage, I can see why people started to feel a bit suspicious about it. But once, you get the facts, you realize it's just poor timing. And yes, it benefited Max. But that's the way racing goes sometimes.
Yeah, in all fairness, it was a weird situation. I won't deny that. It was odd. I remember watching it live and going, why on earth has he come in the pits now, gone out again, and then stopped the car? But when you actually look at and listen to the entire team radio feed, there was a lot of confusion. AlphaTauri have obviously gone, no, there isn't a problem with the tyres, because Yuki was going, this is the question from Morpholo Meg. What on earth happened with Yuki? That's my main question. So let's run you through the event. So he puts on a fresh set of hard tyres. And he's like, yeah, here we go. Goes out. I think he said in a quote that he first thought the problem with the car was just the fact that it was hard tyres, low grip, low temperature and stuff like that. Then, because obviously it was a rear diff problem that he had, but that felt very similar to him as a tyre not being fitted properly. So he was convinced the tyre was not fitted properly. He then came to a halt because the team were like, well, if the tyre's not fitted properly, then stop. So then they stopped. Then they've looked at the data and gone, well, actually, there's nothing wrong with the tyres. So maybe you can come back to the pits. So then he starts again after loosening his seat belts, which I think you could argue he could have just retired there and then at that point, like just get out the car. And I don't know why they tried so hard to stay in the race after the amount of time they would have lost anyway. But yeah, with the loosening of the seat belts, obviously he got a reprimand for, didn't he? For that, which I'm sure, the FIA didn't look too fondly on. Then he crawls back to the pits, changes tyres. They fasten his seatbelts back up again. And obviously that's when they told him to go stop out on track to help Max. Sarcasm. And then he rolls out the pits, then realizes, no, it's not the tyres, but there is something still wrong. So then the team are like, right, okay, we'll stop on track because if there's something wrong with the diff or whatever, you never know what the car could do. And they didn't want the car to trundle round again because that's dangerous in itself, especially around Zandvoort. So they stopped on track. When you actually have all the events laid out to you, it makes sense as to why they did what they did. Still a weird situation, but not a conspiracy.
No.
Very much so. Yeah. No. Like Yuki said, it felt like he was drifting in the straights, which is why it didn't feel like it was normal. They fitted a new tire again, and he confirmed the same thing was happening. Something was going on with that rear part, and engineers confirmed there was an issue. That's why we stopped. Which is what he said to media after the race. But yeah, with the seatbelt thing, he apparently loosened his belts but didn't unlock them. So it wasn't like his seatbelts would be like flying around everywhere. It was just a case of like pulling them, I guess, a bit looser than they should have been. I'm sure people will inevitably compare that to Charles Leclerc a few years ago when he took off his belts and he didn't get any kind of warning or whatever for it. But
was that in testing that he did that?
Leclerc?
No, Spanish Grand Prix.
It was actually the race.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
drove 2 laps.
Yeah,
that
but
was a great 2 laps. Well done.
Yeah, it's just showing that he, was quality.
He's fearless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fully believe that he did, because some people are like, oh well, maybe he did unlock them and he's just not telling anyone. Like, I think it's fair to say that if he had, I don't know, I don't think he would have driven round in Zandvoort with a broken car with the seatbelts off. And that just wouldn't make any sense, would it?
It'd be like riding a roller coaster without your belts on properly. Like, what sane person would do that? Mind you, most drivers are not really sane, are they?
He already had some questionable moments in practice, didn't he, where he was blocking, and you can see how dangerous the track is because there's a lot of blind corners. So yeah, not good. But like you say, no conspiracy. However much you want to just listen to a 9-second clip on Twitter and make your mind up based on no factual evidence.
It's amazing how people can warp the truth on social media with certain
You could
bits.
change it for anything. Like Bottas is a great example because let's be honest, the people that are going to believe it, and I'll say this right now that I just want to be clear that it's a small minority of fans, like we were saying with the flares, that you don't say all Verstappen fans, you don't say all Hamilton fans think this conspiracy theory, but there's obviously a select few that think that this is a conspiracy and are obviously ranting and going crazy. I wonder if they also believe that, Valtteri Bottas, if there's anything suspicious, like if you want to go suspicious, Valtteri Bottas ploughing into both Red Bulls at Hungary when Hamilton needed a win to get back in the championship, things like that. You could take every bit of evidence ever. There's so many examples in Formula One where you could just go, oh, conspiracy, and these things happen from time to time.
Going online without ExpressVPN is like changing while leaving your window wide open. You might not have anything to hide, but why give random creeps a chance to invade your privacy? When you go online without a VPN, Internet Service Providers, or ISPs for short, can see every single website you visit. They can then legally sell this information without your consent to ad companies and tech giants who then use your data to target you. So why should you use ExpressVPN? Well, you can browse more anonymously. When you use ExpressVPN, ISPs cannot see your online activity. Your identity is anonymized by a secure VPN server. Your data is also encrypted for maximum protection. It's also easy to use. You fire up the app and click one button. And furthermore, it works on all devices, phones, laptops, even routers, so everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can be protected. I love the fact that you can just protect everything about you when going online, knowing that no other company can access that data. Secure your online activity by visiting expressvpn.com/WTF1 today. That's expressvpn.com/WTF1 and you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/WTF1. Right, next question. Ben Herriot 3. Honest question with no regard for anything that happened today. Do you think sister teams have a place in top flight racing? In many other sports, it would just be considered a conflict of interest and blocked. No. No, I don't. I mean,
on the spot.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, unless it actually affects the racing, which obviously a minority believe it did affect the racing this time out in Zandvoort, but unless there was literally, them ganging up on other teams, then there's not really much of an issue of them being there. But also, I think it's nice to have a slot for a different team to come in, especially with how Formula One is such a highly competitive sport in terms of 20 drivers, 10 teams. There's not a lot of variety there. So I'm not saying get rid of AlphaTauri by any stretch because they've been part of Formula One for many, many, many years. But at the same time, you have the likes of Andretti trying to get in, but there's no space at the inn and stuff like that. So I'm a bit on the fence with that one. I don't feel particularly strongly either way.
The fact is that AlphaTauri have existed. Obviously, they were Toro Rosso at the time, but since 2006. And if this had been happening every 4 or 5 races, imagine. So Sebastian Vettel, when he came out the pits, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? It almost looked like he was holding him up on purpose. It was obviously just a miscommunication, but it looked really bad. If that was an AlphaTauri and they were doing that every 4 or 5 races, then yes, there needs to be some kind of investigation where you're like, you can't. This is not fair. And I'm sure there are things in place that AlphaTauri have been told you have to run your Formula One team for yourself. It's not because AlphaTauri could have just, they could have just got Yuki Tsunoda to yeet it over the first corner and just plow into the side of Hamilton at Abu Dhabi and take him out. And then they just go, oh, well, it's not the Red Bull team, so it's fine. Like, it's not gonna, they've never done anything like that. The only thing AlphaTauri have ever done that you could say is a little bit suspect is maybe just made it a little easier when they're being the rare chance that a Red Bull's behind them. Maybe they give them a little bit more of a wide berth or make it easy. But there's always been a conflict of interest across the grid. Look at Esteban Ocon when he was in Force India. Toto Wolff was his manager. He'd jump out of the way the second a Mercedes was behind him because he knows he wouldn't want to annoy his manager. Sauber's a great example back in the day when they had Ferrari engines and wouldn't even challenge. Sometimes, there's a famous example of one of the Saubers literally blocking Jack Villeneuve's Williams to hold him up for Michael Schumacher, and then admitted that he'd done it because he'd been told by Ferrari. There's always a conflict of interest between teams, drivers. You'll have drivers in academies that are wanting to do a good impression. So no, it's not a conflict. It's not a conflict of interest if they're behaving themselves, and clearly AlphaTauri have been behaving themselves, because why would they not? Like, it goes back to why now with a 98-point lead. Why weren't they doing it last year? If anything, there was that race where Yuki Tsunoda screwed both Red Bulls. Was it Mexico? And Helmut Marko had a big go at him, and he went off in qualifying, and he ended up screwing Max's qualifying lap. Was Yuki Tsunoda helping Hamilton? No, it's just things happen in Formula One, and then you can make up whatever narrative you want, even if it's not true.
Now, you took the words right out of my mouth there with that, because I've got, how far does it go in my notes? What about drivers who are a part of academies or have certain power units in the back of their car? Like, say Antonio Giovinazzi gets that Haas seat next year. He's very much a part of that Ferrari driver roster that they've got, and he'll have a Ferrari PU in the back of his car. What happens if he stops at the side of the track, like in a Yuki Tsunoda situation, and that benefits Leclerc to take a pit stop? Like, how far does it go? I completely see the conflict of interest with the sister teams, and I would like it if we had just 10 independent teams on the grid, but that's never going to happen. I mean, Mercedes are helping Williams out a bit more, or like going back to Haas, you know, they're getting a base in Maranello. Like, there's so many threads being crossed in different teams that it would just kind of be impossible to have everyone independent. Like, how far would it go? Would everyone have to build their own PU, like build their own parts, all this kind of stuff? So yeah, I think it's just an unfortunate series of events that meant that Max was able to benefit from Yuki stopping. But like you say, it's these kind of questions that come about whenever somebody's really dominating. And yeah, unfortunately, that's just how racing goes sometimes.
It's just how it is.
It's how it is.
Right, Katie, what's your 3-word race review, please?
Mine is Sainz's Sunday shocker. And that's about the shocking Sunday Carlos Sainz had, funnily enough.
Oh, wow.
No
I
way.
know. Curveball. So yeah, he really didn't have the best of days yesterday. A 12.7 second pit stop when they just forgot a tire. You know, we just like thinking, what is there left to mess up? Oh, I know, they could just completely forget to bring a tire out for Sainz. So they did that. Love the graphic. Well, I say love the graphic, like, pains me, but it is quite a funny graphic. The like 12.7 second stop for Sainz, and then Checo underneath with 2 seconds. Let's like bolt together. But yeah, like, just a really tough day for him, you know, getting messed up by that pit stop and then having to fight back on a track that you can't really overtake on. Like, the pace of the car isn't really there. And then the unsafe release, which Carlos is pretty peed off about, because he said that he was doing it to save a McLaren mechanic's life, which, you know, what a dramatic angle that is. But I guess he's still really annoyed that he got given this 5-second time penalty for basically not ploughing over a McLaren mechanic. But at the end of the day, it was an unsafe release.
What was his argument there, Katie, exactly? What for context? Like, what, he took a harsher angle to not hit a McLaren mechanic, or?
Yeah, something like that. He just kind of like dropped into conversation so casually. He was like, well, you know, I'm pretty frustrated because I basically had to not kill someone. So if FIA are going to give me a penalty for that, like, just so casually dropped into conversation. Let me find the quote for you because I've got it right here. So yeah, I was launching into the pit lane correctly. The problem was I had to brake to avoid taking a McLaren mechanic out of his life, or out of this life. If for avoiding action, they give you a penalty, I find it very frustrating. I'm going to speak with the FIA now because I don't understand the decision, with Carlos's words, but it doesn't look like it went to much because he still got the penalty, which dropped him down to P8. And yeah, just
when you actually look at the replay, it was still an unsafe release.
Mm-hmm.
Was it not? Like that? I mean, that pit lane in general, I think, needs to be adjusted a bit because it's far too tight. It's
tighter than Monaco.
Yeah, just see the way the cars are coming out of the pit boxes and how they even can get into the pit boxes. Like, it's such a tight angle that it definitely needs adjusting, because it's just asking for an accident, as you know, Carlos kind of suggested there, potentially running over another mechanic or whatever. So yeah, maybe they will, fingers crossed, make some adjustments for next year.
Well, it's difficult what they can do there, because that straight is just an old school track that's been there for, maybe if they can extend turn 1, but they've literally just rebuilt the circuit, so it's a difficult one. It does feel
the pit lane. I don't know.
Yeah, because even I mentioned this to you on the watch along, that there was when Mercedes come into the pit lane, obviously this was more just the fact that they wanted a bit more of an advantage, because when you're first in the constructors title, you get to choose where you are, and Mercedes obviously first in the box, and you can straight line it a bit more, where if you look at the other teams, they have to go right round and it's a lot more tricky. But Hamilton was actually moving a speaker out the way just so he could straight line it a bit more, because the pit lane's so tight. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think the pit lane is an odd one. The whole track really is very much there's no way we'd be racing here if it wasn't for Verstappen's popularity.
Yeah.
No, I love the circuit. I think it's really cool. Of course I do. But there's no two ways about it. It's very much we need a Dutch Grand Prix because Verstappen's like taking over. Like Formula One's just gone huge over there and stuff. So
yeah, watch that circuit miraculously disappear when Verstappen retires. That's all I'm going to say. I think that will probably happen. Question, Ncanny2, how many times do you think Ferrari are going to mess up something? Either with strategy or pit stops for the remainder of the season? Thanks, Ncanny, for what a great question. Thanks, Tommy, for including it in the sheet. I mean, it's how long's a piece of string, really? I think it seems every single race weekend there's something drastic that goes wrong. I said that in Internet Special Reactions, and I stand by it. It's you've obviously got the Ferrari home race coming up in Monza. Fully expecting that to go completely smoothly. No mess ups whatsoever. Because, well, there's even more pressure on them to deliver, to potentially win, even though I don't believe they've got the pace now over Red Bull, especially on tracks that rely on straight line speed. But I mean, they have to be on the podium. They can't have the only thing on the podium being Ferrari is the champagne brand on the podium. If that's the case, then Ferrari, I mean, come on. You can't give the Tifosi all that hope at the start of the season and then not be on the podium at Monza. But yeah, it's still wrong. I mean, but I think, didn't Binotto say after the race, I'm less concerned about the pit stop, more concerned about our pace over the weekend. It just always seems like there's a lesser of two evils with him, where he's like, well, I know that is on fire, but I'm more concerned about this fire over here. That one can just burn for a little while. Like, I don't know. How can you not be concerned about a tyre literally not being there? Yeah, these things happen. Sometimes you get 3 tires, sometimes you get 4. Like, it's an easy mistake to make. Yeah, exactly. Maybe sometimes you don't need 4 tires. But yeah, it does pose the question, like, is Binotto the right leader for Ferrari? I know that we say that they need consistent leadership, but we've said time and time again this year that I think the way he has at least dealt with the media, we don't know how he deals with it behind the scenes, but if he's saying, oh, look, nothing's wrong, I fully believe that's probably the case there. And he's actually quite happy that Ferrari built a really good car this year. They haven't maximized the results, but they've taken a step forward in general. And they'll be like, yeah, great 2022, everyone. Have a great off season. All right. We'll see you next year for some more blunders. I don't know if he's got that cutting edge maybe that Ferrari need, especially in the decision making, what we've said so many times with putting a number 1 driver forward in the team, etc., etc. And maybe it's a discussion we can have again at the end of the year.
With Binotto, like, I will say, he's done a good job of turning the team around from how, like, look at their disastrous 2020 that they had. Like, that car was just garbage, and at least they've produced a car which is competitive, and so fair play. He's obviously doing some things right, so if you want to argue his case, I'd say maybe that's a good reason for him to keep his job. But yeah, like, his just so casual about like all the mistakes they make, and then you've got a complete other end of the spectrum of Toto Wolff, like saying, oh, I'm sorry, the car's such an S box when they finish like 3rd and get a podium result. Like, it is quite an interesting, like, 2 very different styles of leadership. I mean, I was talking with my brother about this yesterday when we had like Maurizio, for example. That man was scary AF. Like, you look at him the wrong way, you're like, I don't know how many days I've got left on this earth. Like, he was a scary, scary man. And maybe that's the kind of thing that Ferrari need. But then, what did he like? He obviously, Ferrari was still competitive when he was in charge, but it's kind of finding that balance of like just a happy workplace where you have a competitive car, but then one that doesn't seem to make many mistakes. I mean, like, I literally can't think of what else Ferrari could do that would be so catastrophic. Like yesterday, watching that pit stop, I think every F1 fan, whether you support Ferrari or you don't, were literally yelling at the TV like, what the hell are you doing? Like, how can you get something so wrong? And it's just like, when Red Bull got Ricciardo to come in Monaco 2016, like, that was obviously such a huge error, and he was leading the race, and it was bad for many reasons. But like, Red Bull making that mistake in their pit stop has haunted them all of this time. And that was one big mistake that they made. Ferrari seem to be making mistakes, maybe not quite at that like standard, but like every race now, and it's kind of just brushed off as like, oh, another Ferrari mistake. But like these should be things that are absolutely like crippling for Ferrari and their reputation and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of just like, you know, just like in our podcast, it's what, like the 6th, 7th point of them forgetting to bring a freaking tire out for a pit stop. Like it's just insane. So I don't know. It's a tricky situation Ferrari have got themselves in. Maybe they do need to bring in like a Jean Todt. I know he's ancient now, and you know he won't be the same as he was back in the 90s, but maybe they need somebody with that experience that's like got Ferrari blood in their DNA and can help with those calls and, you know, dealing with the consequences, because at the moment Maurizio just seems like he's so casually like just about floating above water, and I don't know how much the poor guy can take with people saying, so another mistake this weekend, you know. Yeah, it's a bad time. I really do feel so sorry for all the real hardcore Ferrari fans, because it must be so frustrating to see that you had a car at the start of the season that was so competitive, and now it's like you're on a slippery slope and there's no stopping you.
Yeah, you mentioned Jean Todt. You know, the poor bloke's 76 years old. If he went back into that role as a Ferrari team principal like he was previously, I
maybe
think
like an advisor role though. We had like Niki Lauda that went to Mercedes in an advisor role.
Yeah,
they need a strong figure, don't they? The
leadership figure.
They need a leadership figure. Whether that's, we said it before, whether that's Hamilton and Toto Wolff coming in or Verstappen and someone else, they need it. Basically, they just need someone that really G's them up, makes them not seem so casual about everything. They do need kind of someone a bit more brutal at the end of the day, because it is a competitive sport, and the fact that you do wonder as well, if you think of just like your job in general, that not saying that it could have been a genuine mistake and we don't know what it is, but no other Formula One team this year has done a pit stop where only 3 tires are ready. And like you say, we said it in the watch along, it looked like someone just wasn't there or they'd gone for a toilet break or something. When your kind of team boss is like, oh, it doesn't matter, the car's not very good now, is that really the approach? Whereas, like you say, that I feel like they do need, the reason they were so good with Schumacher is because they had Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, Schumacher. They came in, they sorted it out. They said it was pretty much we're going to sort this team out, and it was a winning mentality of just that's why they were so dominant, because they just wanted to win every single race. They never took a day off. Michael Schumacher, I know you can't do this now, but like doing thousands and thousands of days of testing, they need someone there that's just going to make them go, yeah, I want to win this championship. And it just seems so casual about the fact that they just, we've got the best, we had the best car for half the season, but we haven't won. But it doesn't matter. Is that like it's Formula One? You don't want to win the World Championship, and there's absolutely no way that Toto Wolff, Christian Horner would be allowing that. Even the drivers, if it's a Verstappen or a Hamilton, they would be demanding that things change, and they would make it happen. So, yeah,
that was going to be my exact thing there, Tommy, was that no matter your opinion on Toto Wolff and Christian Horner, they will die by their team. They will stick up for them no matter what, even if it's to the media. And some people might go, oh, well, why does it matter how they speak to the media? Well, if you think there's a big team behind every Formula One team, and it's demoralizing if your leader doesn't really stand up for what, you know, they're doing, and you go, the pace, you know, whatever, like they always seem to deflect the problems that they make. Like Hungary, for example, they made that massive strategic blunder with Leclerc, and yet Binotto was like, yeah, well, I'm more concerned about the pace though. We didn't have the pace on any tire. And it's just such a weak response, in my opinion, to the whole thing going on, that you need to take ownership of your mistakes and really process them and move on. And the fact that they've made so many mistakes over the year proves that they're not learning from their problems and their mistakes. Otherwise, they would have ironed them out by now. The fact that Mercedes made one strategic blunder and everyone's up in arms about it is because they never make these kind of mistakes. And that will obviously be something we speak about very shortly. In fact, do we have it? Yeah, no, actually, yeah, that's pretty much it. Tommy, your 3-word race review, please. Now, thank you.
My 3-word race review is few chances left. And yes, it's about Mercedes and the fact that, well, we've got 7 races now. If we go back to maybe Canada, Silverstone, you can look back on the old podcasts, and particularly you, Matt, were saying, 100% Mercedes are getting a win this year because they're picking up points that every race they're getting the maximum. So all they need is just that one slip up from one of the top teams and they will get that win. And it really does feel like it's getting closer and closer to the end of the season and it's still not happened. And that track is probably one of their best in terms of suiting the car. They obviously were not qualifying. I don't know if the Perez incident they would have been higher. I don't think so. But the fact that Hamilton was stuck behind Sainz, if he'd have been there, been able to get past Sainz, it might have been a what might have been, because their race pace looks pretty good. And yeah, it's just strange that we're at this point of the season and it's still only, Red Bull and Ferrari that have won a race and not Mercedes. And we're running out of time now. And Hamilton's got that record as well, hasn't he, of winning in every season. And it would be a shame to see that game.
It really would. I admit I would have thought they would have had a win by now, or at least taken a more consistent step forward. They have been quick around Hungary, around Zandvoort, but that's a very specific characteristic type of track. You then look at Spa, they were well off the pace compared to Red Bull in particular. So then you look at the races that are left. You've, of course, got Italy, which no chance they're going to be quick around Monza, in my opinion. They're very draggy still, as we saw around Zandvoort. Singapore, maybe that's probably one of their only chances, I would say, left, because it's obviously more downforce and aerodynamic dependent. You've also got the Japanese Grand Prix, which is still kind of a power circuit in some ways, especially in that last sector. The US GP, again, a bit too quick, I think, for them. Mexico, I think we've always seen Red Bull very good around there. Yeah. Brazil,
power again.
Power. And then Abu Dhabi, I mean, it's a mixture. So maybe that's their last throw of the dice.
Singapore is the one, isn't it?
Singapore seems to be their best chance, at least from the running trend of what we've been seeing this year. But yeah, it does obviously. It would make perfect sense for them to have sacked off this season anyway. They are still kind of challenging Ferrari for the constructors' second place. I think they're 30 points behind, which is absolute insanity. How on earth? But then at the same time, it makes perfect sense because we've said all season long that Mercedes have been picking up and executing and maximizing pretty much every single race weekend. And it was almost no different for this weekend. But yeah, a small blunder, which we'll get into. But yeah, it's looking less and less likely that Mercedes will get a win unless we get a crazy Brazilian Grand Prix where rain hits and stuff like that. Let's not also count out those kind of changeable condition stuff that we could see.
No, totally. Like listening to Hamilton speak about where he thinks there could be chances. Yeah, Singapore's one. He did mention Kota, which you never know. And yeah, with Brazil in the wet, like they're Lewis's kind of conditions that he really excels in. But then we've also seen Max Verstappen have a wonderful wet weather drive around Interlagos. So it remains to be seen where they'll actually be able to do this. But yeah, I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I say I'd like to see Mercedes get a win this year. Obviously, if I had to pick one, I'd like maybe Hamilton to do it because I massively respect him. I respect the record that he's got, and I think it would be a shame to see that come to an end. But then also, George Russell has been putting in some wonderful performances this year, and it would be nice if that could be rewarded with a win. So I really hope that Mercedes do get a chance to get a win. Also, just would be nice to change up a little bit, have a different winner, which seems absolutely insane saying that about Mercedes. But here we are, 2022 is a wild year. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys that there are only very few chances left. So we're going to have to hope for a crazy, maybe Singapore Grand Prix. But yeah, Red Bull are meant to be bringing quite a big upgrade there. So it's been nice while it lasted, guys.
Upgrades don't always mean performance, though. That's my Ferrari copium hitting right there.
I've just put a poll, actually, for the Team WTF1 people that are in the chat. Do you think Mercedes will win a race this year? Currently on 56% no.
Lovely stuff. Team WTF1 member Joe Fitz 2003 asks, could Mercedes have pitted Lewis for softs, even though it would have resulted in a P2 finish? His pace today was very good, and though I think Max would have still won the race, Mercedes would have gotten a 2-3. Now, this one, I think, was a bit of a blunder from Mercedes, because, in my opinion, you either go one way or the other. You don't allow for George Russell to go on the soft tyres and leave Hamilton completely vulnerable on mediums. Like, it makes no sense personally. And I know, people were forgetting George Russell asked for this very late notice coming into the pits. He went, my tyres are shot, I want the softs. And then Mercedes are like, yeah, okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, you pit sort of thing. So it was a very off the cuff decision from them, which made George Russell, of course, look great because he finished P2 in the end, and made Hamilton's strategy look stupid. But if you have Russell as a buffer, it gives you a little bit more of a chance. I don't for a second think that Verstappen doesn't breeze past both of them and win the race. I still think he wins. And if anything, I think Leclerc will probably go past them as well and finish P2. So then they would have finished third and fourth. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, what their plan A was going to be worse than what actually happened. But yeah, if they both pitted, I don't know how far George Russell was behind Hamilton at the time. Could they have double stacked in the safety car? Potentially. But then, if they had a bit of a slow stop with George Russell because of the double stack, maybe that put him at risk of cars behind. I don't know the exact gaps, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, it was either one way or another to try and win the race. And, that Mercedes is draggy as well. So leaving Hamilton vulnerable to Verstappen at the restart, it was always going to happen. You just saw the pace difference between Verstappen and Hamilton. Of course, Max with a bit slipstream as well. And I don't know if you've seen the video online, but the way he beautifully timed going past Hamilton is just another reason why Max Verstappen is very much one of the best of this generation, is because he was closing in just a little bit too fast on Hamilton, and he can't pass before the start-finish line. And he just lifts ever so slightly, but because of the massive amount of overspeed, it's fine. He can still get past Hamilton, but he just lifts. And there's probably, I think I saw in the Sky analysis, like a front wing between Hamilton and Verstappen behind before they went over the line.
Have you seen the picture? There's an actual picture of like top down.
Oh no, I haven't seen
that.
No.
Oh my word, it is so close. It is judged to. It is the front wing basically. Yeah. It's mad.
And it's a beautiful judgment from him. People say, "Oh, it's lucky." No, he knew what he was doing, and it's it was great from Max. And Mercedes basically sealed Lewis's fate by allowing George to pit, in my opinion.
All these great dominant drivers are always just so lucky, aren't they? Yeah, I'm surprised actually that now I think back to it, why they didn't maybe be a little bit more cheeky and ruthless with George and essentially just drop back a little bit like they did and see if they could get Hamilton on fresh tires in the pit stop when they were all coming into the pits. If they'd have basically said, right, George, slow it down, because they did that with Bottas in, I want to say Saudi, in one of the races, I think, where they were backing up Verstappen. They could have got Hamilton onto the soft tyres, and I think we would have seen more of a race of it. So I'm surprised they didn't do that. But yeah, it very much was a mistake to leave Hamilton out on those tyres, and boy was he fuming about it.
For a moment, then he got over it,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the perfect role reversal of when they were trying to spin it when Alonso called Hamilton an idiot and said all this stuff on the radio, and Hamilton was like, you say what you like in the car and then you don't really mean it, and it's just heat of the moment, because at the end of the day he's losing what he feels like he's losing a win or he's been screwed. So of course he's going to be annoyed by it. And yeah, he's very annoyed.
Sorry, I was going to say the comparison I was going to make is quite funny compared to like, Hamilton trying to get his first win since last year. And then I was like, well, think of like if you're playing Fall Guys or Mario Kart and then you lose and it's like you get really angry, but then you kind of take a step back and you're like, it's fine. It's like you calm yourself down. It's all
Katie Fairman compares winning a Formula One race to Fall Guys / Mario Kart.
To be fair, if you think how annoyed people get at losing a game of FIFA or the F1 game, imagine that being your job, your livelihood, your success of your entire career on it. No wonder they get annoyed. And the adrenaline of driving a Formula One car at 200 miles an hour, the media pressure, everything, you can't imagine. And then we're there going like, oh, I'm so annoyed that I've lost this game of Mario Kart.
To be fair, we're not sports professionals though, Tommy, are we?
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah, but like you see people on Twitch or just like generally, like if we have a Discord and we're doing Mario Kart and stuff, like you get annoyed. It's like part of competition. Like I'm talking about
Matt's famously never gets annoyed.
I've never been angry
he's
at
so
a game,
cool.
ever.
No,
Never.
So I completely.
I'll be straight on the blower. What have you done? To be fair, especially when you have a line of communication to the people you believe has screwed you over.
You literally get to speak to the people. So
yeah, but he to be fair, he did apologise and said that it was heat of the moment. Doesn't even remember what he said in that particular moment in the race. So fair play, Lewis. Put his hands up and said that it wasn't the way to have acted. Next question. J. Dennis, 1995. Now that he's fourth and incredibly consistent, is Russell a serious contender for top 3 in the championship? I don't actually know how far behind he is. Let's have a look and see.
Not far.
Standings,
depends how many times
driver's
Ferrari or Leclerc.
He's 13 points behind Perez and Leclerc.
That is a joke. That is a joke.
That is,
that's a third place.
Yeah.
When he's had consistently the third best car
on average, a second a lap slower than the Ferrari Red Bull.
15 races. He's had the third fastest car, and he's 13 points. That just shows how much, like you say, that consistency is key. Because if you look at his results, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 5th, 3rd, 4th, retired, 4th, 3rd, 3rd, 4th, 2nd.
I mean, every race he's finished, he's been in the top 5. That's
George
Russell's first season in Mercedes is being absolutely slept on, in my opinion. I know we all say, oh, he's consistent and stuff. He has been brilliant, and no one can take that away from him. The fact that he's even stacking up to Hamilton in any regard in his first year of Mercedes. I know he's been part of the team for a while, but to step into that seat and to be, I wouldn't say faster on average than Hamilton over the course of the season, but there or thereabouts, just shows what an incredible driver he is, and he's only going to get better as well. Yeah, he's there's going to be a time where he's soaking in the pressure and getting used to fighting for wins, fighting for podiums. But he's taken it like a duck to water.
Yeah,
very much so. I think he'll be in top 3 the way it's going. I mean, it's difficult to say because we've just literally spoken about the kind of complications Mercedes might have with the tracks coming up, but then we've seen that before and they somehow still end up on the podium. So yeah, I think I'll say now I think he'll get top 3, which probably aged very badly. But
Leclerc to finish 4th or lower in the championship, had it at first.
It's going to be close because you've got essentially Charles Leclerc, who's driving really well, but in a Ferrari. Sergio Perez, who's really dropped off and driving the best car, but he's really dropping off. And then George Russell, who's driving a car that isn't the best, but are maximizing the results, and he's always maximizing the results. And it's quite fascinating, actually, how much 3 very different scenarios have completely balanced out. They've had completely different seasons. If you'd have said, sorry, Matt, cover your ears now, but if you'd have said that after Australia, that George Russell would be 13 points behind Charles Leclerc after 15 races.
I'd completely agree with it, to be honest, and seen it as a very fair prediction, Tommy, because actually after Australia, George Russell was second in the championship, 43 points behind Leclerc. And, it's painful.
It is mad,
really, really painful. Good. Right, let's move on from that, because that's just, pain. Next question, Omar R. Pepper. After Ricciardo's poor result, do you think he will go to Haas to avoid the risk of taking a sabbatical and not being called anymore? What, just called? Just being called?
I'll call him.
Called? I know you will, Katie.
Of course you
I'm
will.
sure you're in his DMs already. I think, we saw a video of him speaking to, was it
Checo?
Basically saying or speaking about his options, it seemed like. And one of the options he was speaking about was basically taking a year off and coming back in 2024, which is an option for Danny Rick. I don't know if it's the right one. I don't know if leaving the sport entirely to then hope to come back the year after. Maybe he's got something in the works with a team that'll allow him to come back in 24. But finishing a season so badly as he is currently doing, I don't think that'll put him in any good books for many teams, unless, as I say, he's got something lined up with a team. But those contracts, those handshakes can change very quickly, especially if a new young driver comes up through the ranks and is a lot cheaper than what Danny Rick will be. For me, he has to secure a seat personally. I think go to Haas if that is an option. Just try and rebuild your reputation. Try and remind people that you are a brilliant driver and that you're not washed, and that McLaren shouldn't define what you are or who you are as a Formula One driver. He needs to do essentially what Gasly did, what Albon did, and rebuild that confidence. Remind himself that, I can be the last of the late breakers. So for me, I don't think taking a sabbatical is the right way, unless for whatever reason he needs to take that for his mental health, which is absolutely fine, and to be fair, probably warranted as well for the amount of bashing and things he's received. But only if he's got something in place for 2024. If he's just hoping for a Formula One team to pick him up because he's an 8-time F1 race winner, I'm not sure that will be enough, considering how McLaren has gone.
It's sad, but I don't see where he goes now. I literally can't see a seat for him next year. So it's the only thing I see. Haas will get Giovinazzi probably. Again, Haas just seems too expensive. It'd be a surprise. I think that's his only option left. There's talk now of that. I mean, Helmut Marko's pretty much spilled the beans that Gasly's off to Alpine. And another curveball.
Didn't he suggest that only if Gasly's going to Alpine,
only
if
Herta come? Herta will come in. And again, that all things I can't see. It's a shame because the way he's ended the season, I don't think he'll get that opportunity. The age he is and the part of his career, like a Gasly or Albon, where you go, oh well, we can take a chance on him, because realistically, he's going to be a very expensive driver to take a risk on, with not a lot of longevity. Even though he proved alongside Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull and things like that he is a great driver, but it's just not working for him at McLaren, and it's sad. But I don't see it now personally. I'd say that I think sabbatical, and then just hope that there's a seat somewhere. But even then, when he's been a year out, do people even think, oh, we're going to get him back if their drives are performing? I don't know.
This whole conversation, I feel like a mound of bricks has fallen on me. I genuinely feel like my heart has gone really heavy of the idea of thinking that we're going to lose Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel at the end of this year. Like, two of my favorite drivers, but also two of the drivers with some of the biggest characters in the sport. Like, it would just be such a monumental loss, even outside of like the fact that they're both brilliant drivers. Like, just losing the personalities would be really, really tough. So that's a bit of a difficult pill to swallow if that actually does happen. But yeah, as time goes on, motorsport moves very quickly in terms of contracts and snapping people up. I mean, Herta was obviously talked about with McLaren, and now it seems like only in the last week or so he's now being talked about going to AlphaTauri. So everything moves so quickly. Ricciardo was saying coming into this weekend that he's going to take some time to look at all his options, but maybe that's not
piece of paper. That's a lot of options.
But maybe time isn't a luxury that he can afford to have. I mean, if he goes back to Australia, then that would be great, because I know that, well, I say I know, but like I assume that he is missing spending a lot of time with his family. Lockdown was probably extremely tough, not being able to go back, you know, for lots of European drivers with COVID. And when that all happened, they were just able to go back home and have quality time with their family. Ricciardo didn't have that luxury. So maybe he does just want to go back, spend time with his niece and nephew, have some time to reset, to, you know, start to feel more chirpy again, because it can't have been easy this year, just constantly being told that you're not good enough and then getting kicked out of your seat a year early. But yeah, just the whole situation, I just don't even want to think about it because it's too brutal.
It is brutal.
It's reality, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is
brutal.
It is really sad. And if we just for a second try and forget about Daniel Ricciardo's personality and what an amazing person he is, if that's anyone else in that car, we're saying get out of Formula 1, you're washed.
Yeah.
And you know, that's, but then again, you know, we try to take into account everything and also what he's achieved, but still you're going, well, you're nowhere near Lando Norris at this point. For me, if he takes a sabbatical, I don't think he ever comes back. He'll be 34 if he wanted to come back. He's 33 now.
Didn't stop Fernando Alonso.
It didn't stop Fernando Alonso, but
he's
Fernando
a two-time
Alonso's
world
champ.
Yeah.
And it's clear to see from the get-go, Fernando Alonso hasn't lost any of the talent, and you know, Tommy fully believes that Fernando's the greatest driver to have ever lived. So I don't think Danny Ric has that pull, but I just he needs to take anything. Take a Williams seat if it's going. Just stay on the Formula 1 grid, smash your teammate, and then maybe you get back up to a good team. But if he leaves, I just can't see him coming back, which is sad, really sad, because I do absolutely love him to bits. And it would be a massive shame. Have we actually replied to his DM yet? Have we replied to get his that match?
He's got Katie's address now.
I was going to say, or is he going to come knock on your door? All right, cool. Do I get a bit of match as well, or is that just no? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, nice.
I'll wear it in the next podcast if it arrives in time.
Nice, cool. Right, Tommy, you got the jingle?
Yes. Do you want to give some give some context to the people that went on Twitch about that? I've seen on TikTok. The Katie thing about trying to get Danny Ric merchandise.
Oh no, just Katie.
Yeah, how Daniel Ricciardo knows where I live.
DMing. That's it, basically. Katie wrote an article essentially speaking about why George Russell was wearing Daniel Ricciardo's merch, and then Katie just very casually put in like, "Oh, I'm a size medium if you want to." And then Daniel Ric's clearly read that article because he follows us on social, and then DM'd the WTF1 Instagram account saying, let me know your address and we can hook you up, basically. So Katie,
and I died.
Died.
Yeah, check out our TikTok. Cool. I put your live reaction to it because I was in the chat saying I saw it and was like, Katie's on stream now. This would be hilarious to see her live reaction to this. Put it in the chat. And then it was brilliant. Right. ABCDF1.
Did you get a large as well, Katie? Yeah. A large and a medium for me and Tommy? Or...
No.
Just all the one. Oh.
I don't know. I didn't do it. It's all in Daniel Ricciardo's hands. I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay. I might have to follow up DM. Hi there.
Hi there. Also,
hey, babes, I know you just slandered you.
Don't forget about me. Right. Hi.
Tommy, you have to say I'm about to read a message out from someone.
Okay. Right. ABCDF1 jingle. Hi, Tom, Katie, and Matt. I absolutely love your podcast. It has many a time saved me from boredom. Here's a jingle for you. Listen and just imagine the three of you wearing shades in front of Sainz's exploded Ferrari. Wow. Let me know if you like it, and I'll give it a final touch. Kind regards, Joachim.
You can tell this was sent in for Austria, right, Karen?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the
There you go.
Well, apart from
Wow.
going deaf at 26, that was great.
Wow.
I never know how loud to play it on my phone
No,
because
that
I have
was-
no concept of it. But there you go.
No,
It was
well,
quite dramatic.
I hope your
could
neighbours
feel-
enjoyed that jingle as well.
I could feel the burn of the Ferrari engine, the heat from it.
You can smell it.
Listening to that. Yeah.
Right, ABCDF1 time. Let's start with Hamilton.
Yeah. A.
Hey,
A.
Okay, A from us and A from fans. George Russell, A.
A.
he went from 6th to P2, which I think is quite good, and took strategy into his own hands.
Which screwed Mercedes.
True, but Mercedes could have just said, nah.
Mercedes, yeah, I mean, at that point, if you're playing F1 manager, you're pausing it, aren't you? You're going, right,
Yeah, 100%.
hold on.
What do I
Russell
do?
wants to pit. What do we do here? Okay. It was very split-second decision. They didn't even have time to ask why Russell wanted to
F1
change his
is
tyres.
split second, though. True. I'll go
give an A
A.
star. It doesn't matter because we
Yeah.
both got an A. Sorry, Katie.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, your grade doesn't matter. A from us and an A from the fans. Max Verstappen, A-star.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Katie
Katie's
really
really
sounded
depressed.
happy about that one. I'm the
I
one that's
didn't mean
supposed to
for it
say
to be-
that.
Yeah.
Which is he's just so inevitable.
Yeah,
He's
too
going to
many
win the next
A-stars.
70,000 races.
Yeah, it's literally going to happen. A-star from us and an A-star from the fans. Sergio Perez. I think he deserves a C.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just.
Messed up in quali. Hasn't really been.
Oh
on
yeah,
the
we haven't
pace.
spoken about that. We spoke about conspiracy theories. People genuinely put that into. Do you see that hashtag F1XED? So fixed. started
this is
doing
the
the
thing,
rounds
though.
on
I've blocked
Twitter
that
when
word
he-
on Twitter.
That
I
the,
need
the
to
thing
do it.
is though
That was
that
trending.
just proves that literally anything now will be,
Yeah.
because that one was ridiculous. The Tsunoda one was ridiculous. It just shows that they could just find anything now, because now there's no actual reason to kind of undermine Verstappen's championship, and now kind of seeing that it's inevitably going to happen, they just need to find something. So
It's amazing when you look at a whole season rather than just one race that was actually down to the FIA rather than what Verstappen did anyway, to realise that he's actually deserving champion in both of the seasons he's now taken part in, where he's been winning the championship. Oh, sass. Right. Yeah. Perez, I think, C's fair because, of course, I know he made the mistake, which then led to him having an older power unit in for the race, but also he had an older power unit in for the race. So I'm kind of being like, fair enough. All right, C.
yeah, see.
Yeah.
Okay.
See.
C from us and a C from the fans. Charles Leclerc.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, that Ferrari is just trash. Well, he did absolutely annihilate Sainz. I feel like an A is fair because I think he absolutely maximized what he was doing in that Ferrari. Like, he was so much quicker than Sainz at
Yeah.
the start of that race.
Might have been. Yeah, but I mean, Sainz did get massively mugged off. So
No, but I mean,
actually,
start
to
of the
be
race,
fair, yeah,
they
if I'm
Start,
giving
yeah.
if we're giving
Sainz
Hamilton,
was
if actually to be
slow.
fair, if I'm giving Hamilton and Russell an A, then I think Leclerc does deserve an A as well.
yeah.
Because Ferrari don't have the race pace anymore, do they? Yeah, okay.
It's literally a running trend where they look great in the first 5 laps. You're like, oh, and then tyre wear kicks in and he's 6 seconds off. And it's like,
Degradation.
oh,
Yeah.
Here you go, Matt. Have some optimism,
yeah, literally.
but only for the first
everything's on.
5 laps.
I said to you in the watch along on Twitch, didn't I, Tommy? I was like, he's going to be on him until tyre wear kicks in. And then lo and behold, he then fell off a cliff. Although Verstappen did have fresh softs as well, which then just stuck the old dagger in a bit more. Charles Leclerc, then we're going to give an A, and he got a B from the fans. Carlos Sainz, I'm going to give him a C.
Yeah, see.
I'll give
Pace.
him the B, which doesn't affect the grade anyway, because Ferrari just messed up his entire race and chucked him around the back, and then at a track where it's struggling, like it's difficult to overtake. So I'll go for a B, but yeah, not great because he also then got the 5-second penalty.
Yeah, bad race for him. C from us and a B from the fans. Lando Norris
A.
finished 7th. A.
A.
Cool. A from us and an A from the fans. Daniel Ricciardo, that's going to be a solid E.
Yeah. E.
I'm going to go for a D because he's sending me merchandise.
Why Wow, there you go. Everyone has a price.
Way to
Prize.
my heart.
Why did he stop 5 times?
It was
That's a
4.
great bloody question.
Was it 4?
It was 4, and then the one time they went through the pits, I think counted as a pit
Oh,
stop
okay.
because technically it triggered it. But still,
What the
they
hell?
just don't get me wrong. He was very bad, but it seemed they would just pit him just to make sure that he would never be ever above 17th in the race.
Oh, we're looking promising. Quick pit stop.
Well,
And
he never looked
Yeah.
promising, but it was just the fact
Yeah.
that you're still not going to get anywhere. You're still compromising your race massively, and I don't really understand why he was pit 4 times. What strategy that was, but whatever.
Yeah.
This is Zach Brown's
Yeah.
The
strategy.
base anyway.
It's the you're leaving the team strategy.
Yeah.
So yeah, E from us and an E from the fans. Fernando Alonso, A.
I'm going A star for Fernando Alonso.
Oh, it's
Hey.
tempting.
A star.
A.
Yeah, to
Top
be honest,
it's all on you, baby.
I don't need convincing
has
to
to
give Fernando
decide on
Alonso an A star. Yeah, to be fair, how on earth has he finished 6th? Yeah, A star.
Yeah, fair enough. A star from us and an A from the fans. Esteban Ocon, B.
B.
Well, if he's getting an A star, Ocon finished 9th.
9th.
Yeah, B.
Yeah, B.
Yeah, I'll go for a B as well.
Okay, B from us and a B from the fans. Pierre Gasly finished 11th, just outside the points.
Bit anonymous again.
I'm going to go
C.
C because
yeah,
Yuki
C.
was quicker than him in quali as well. And I keep
Yeah.
bringing
C.
quali into this, but yeah.
Yeah, that's always sometimes a deciding factor, isn't it? C.
C, yeah.
Okay, C from us and a C from the fans. Yuki Sonoda. I know some
A
people would have
star.
given him an F, and some people would have given him an A star.
Yeah.
So let's average that out and give him a C.
I'm going
He
to
was
go
running in
B.
12th.
I'm going to go B because he'd have beaten Gasly.
Would he?
Yeah, he was ahead of Gasly before he was,
Oh,
was
I
going to
thought
get
they were
points.
11th and 12th, and that Sonoda was 12th and Gasly was 11th when he stopped on track. No,
But was that because not he did a
Uh,
pit stop? Did that pit stop not get affected into it?
potentially.
Don't know.
I thought he was ahead personally. And I
He's
think
been
he was
quicker.
just
He was quicker
quicker
than
the
Pierre all
weekend.
weekend. So
Mm.
yeah, putting in a few cheeky like P2 things in quali. So yeah,
P2 things.
P2 things. Yeah, let's go for a B.
Okay. B from us and a C from the fans. Vettel, Sebastian Vettel, 14th, doesn't have mirrors, D.
That's fine. This moment. Yeah.
I know it's probably down to a communication error from the team,
yeah,
but also
D.
use your mirrors.
And the flags that are waving everywhere and the boards and everything else.
Yeah, when you
He
come out
got
the pits
penalised
as
for
well,
it.
you're looking in your mirrors, aren't you?
Shocking
anyway?
quali as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 'cause
Him
he binned
and-
it in qualifying, didn't
Him
he?
and
Yeah.
Ricardo both got caught out by Lance Stroll going over and kicking a load of dust up. That was the excuse they used.
Yeah.
Because he was quick in. Oh, was it Seb that was quickest in first sector? I think both the Aston Martin sort of like.
Yeah,
switched
he was looking
between
all right.
getting
Yeah,
they were
that was
looking quite
definitely getting
speedy.
that Q1. Yeah. They were looking good in practice, I think, as well. But
Yeah, I got so much
unfortunately,
potential.
still binned it. It's going to be a D.
I'll go for a D. Yeah.
Okay, D from us and a D from the fans. Lance Stroll loves the 10th place. Apparently, that's the only place he's finished in the points this whole year is 10th.
Oh wow.
Don't
was
quote me
good.
on that, but I think I heard that in commentary. Yeah, I think that's a B.
A B, yeah.
B.
Okay, B from us and a B from the fans. Nicholas Latifi, F next.
Yeah, pretty shocking.
Oh god.
There are 3
Yeah,
things.
is he even
in life.
gonna last the season at this rate?
Yeah,
They
because
might as well
there's no
just-
one else really lined up, is there?
No.
Nick DeVries, pop him in there. See how he gets on.
People genuinely
might-
believe that De Vries
he-
is going to be in that car
I
next
know.
year.
He
do
might as
not.
well he might as well have been in the car the amount of times they showed him on the TV this weekend. by
Yeah,
the way.
I know.
I'm sure.
And
I'm
Somebody's
sure
either been tipped off or
Don't know,
I
they're
don't
that's
in
know.
love with him.
loyalty.
In love with him,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's true. He's Dutch.
Yeah, it's going to have to be an F for me. Latifi was just,
Yeah, it's
just nowhere.
shockingly bad.
Apparently, he had a problem in qualifying, but I mean, how much of a problem was it actually? And then he was just last for the entire race. Like, I think it's at one point, Danny Rick looked in his mirrors, saw Latifi, and was like, "Oh no, this is
This is bad.
not going well."
Truly washed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to have to be an F, unfortunately, for Latifi. F from us and an F from the fans. Alex Albon, P12.
B.
Yeah, it's a B.
Yeah, I think it'd be.
You're right, Katie. You some
I'm
coffee
just
or
trying
something?
to. No, I'm just trying to decide.
Yeah.
You're still upset about
B.
Ricardo's grade, aren't you?
No, you still think about the DM.
No, I'm not.
You're wondering, will he actually deliver it himself?
No, I know he won't.
Should I see if it's seen?
Genuinely
it's-
angry about that. No,
No.
he won't.
No, it's fine.
Okay, B from us.
It's not been
yeah,
read yet.
B.
Sorry, Kate, it's not been read yet.
God,
3 days we've been
Quick.
waiting.
Oh, that means I can
I've
follow up
been-
my address as well.
I've been ghosted by Daniel Ricciardo.
B
That's
from
the
us and
CV.
a B from the fans. Valtteri Bottas stopped on track. Conspiracy F.
Trying to
C
help
for
us on teammate
conspiracy.
Hamilton. Yeah.
It's gonna be a C.
Man has the worst luck.
Alpha just has the
Alpha's
worst car.
dreadful car. Like
Yeah.
literally can't even
See.
get
What
to
you
the end
get
of the
for
race
putting a
ever.
Ferrari power unit in the back of your car. Yeah, I'll go C.
Yeah, horrendous car. C from us, C from the fans. I think same for Zhou Guanyu. C.
Yeah. Didn't really see much of him this weekend, to be honest.
No, didn't see.
C.
Yeah.
Great social pace with the pigeons, eh?
Yeah. Oh,
But
A
yeah.
star.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it's C.
Yep.
Oh
C
yeah,
from
and
us.
he beat Bottas in qualifying as well.
So C from us and C from the fans.
But it's still a good thing, yeah.
He did, to be fair. Bottas is the king of qualifying, apparently. Kevin Magnussen binned it, ruined his
E.
race. E.
E.
Yeah.
Ooh,
E.
yeah, I like the way you said that, Tommy. Yeah, big E's, big E's. Yeah, E from
Can
us
he
and a
just
D from the fans.
Calm down.
I know, like lap 1, even when it's single file through Zandvoort, he's like, nope, yeet time. Let's go. Lap 2, straight into the wall. Big mistake. That's something you do in like an F1 game lobby, not in real Formula 1. An unforced error.
Don't get me
from
wrong.
Magnussen.
He's 100% the kind of driver I like because he's like entertaining and a bit chaotic.
Bit Maldonado-esque.
Yeah. But yeah, your head says calm down. My heart says just keep being UK
going.
Mag because it's
One
kind of
day it'll pay off.
Entertainment, yeah.
You'll win a race
But he's
one
the
day.
experienced driver, isn't he? That should be a bit more not throwing it off the
I
road.
mean, how he
Set
carried
an
on, by the way,
example.
as well. How his
Oh,
car was
yeah.
okay to carry on was quite miraculous. So E from us and a D from the fans. And finally, Mick Schumacher finished 13th. Was looking so good, but then he had a
What
slow
were
pit
Haas
stop.
doing with him in general?
Massively slow pit stop. I am still. I feel like Haas screwed him. I feel like
Oh,
Haas screwed
yeah,
him.
me
I want to
too.
give him a
B.
B.
B. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was running in the points
yeah.
until that.
And that did
I think
some
it was
lovely
10.
battling with Vettel as well during the race.
That was a lovely
Oh,
well-to-well
that
battle,
was
actually. Yeah,
great.
saucy.
saucy. So yeah, B, I think.
Okay, B from us and a C from the fans. Zandvoort predictions. I went for flare controversy, which I shouldn't be celebrating because it was terrible. You're idiots if you threw a flare on the track. But yes, big flare controversy. Not the controversy I expected nor hoped for. Well, to be fair, I didn't hope for any flare controversy, but I thought there would be anyway. Despite the fact there was a big sign that said no flares, hand them in. And surprisingly, everyone just miraculously found a flare under their seat at the end of the race, which I don't have much of a problem with, to be honest. when
Not
the
the
race is
end.
good.
Yeah, the end of the race is fine. But
Yeah. The qualifying thing was just absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, just to reiterate what we've said in the Quali podcast that we did on audio platforms and live on Twitch, follow us, WTF1 official, is that it was ridiculous. And I hope those people are never allowed in a Formula One circuit ever again. So, yes, 1 point for me for that. And Leclerc wins.
And shout out to the fans that absolutely pelted them in beer, by the way, and made
And
sure
pointed
that
them
they
out.
and
Yeah.
pointed them out so the security knew that they were the one that lobbed it and could be
Brilliant.
arrested.
I mean,
like
what did they
deserved.
expect, by the way? Throwing a flare onto the track is obviously going to cause a red flag, and you're obviously going to be the center of attention because everyone around you in a grandstand is
Will
going to
have
see
seen
you
it,
yeet
yeah.
an orange flare onto the track. Like, yeah, they deserved what they got. So, yeah, Katie,
So I went ambitiously for Alfa Romeo into Q3.
How'd that
That was
go?
a good one. Really, really badly. And then also only one Red Bull to finish the race.
how'd that
which
go?
Also really badly, funny enough. Turns out when I don't do really easy predictions, they don't come true. Who would have thought?
Wow, Tommy,
Leclerc pole, half a point, missed out by 0 point.
no,
Okay.
good joke.
And Norris best of the rest, which he was in qualifying. So
Yeah. I think that's fair. You were vague.
He was best of the
God.
rest.
He
He was
was
best of the
vague.
rest. And
We
technically his
all
pace
know-
was best of the rest as
We
well.
all know that best of the rest meant whoever finishes behind Red Bull, Ferrari,
necessarily.
and Mercedes.
Well,
are-
best
In
of the rest.
qualifying.
you are scum.
Yeah.
What did the chat say?
To be
in-
fair, he's
in
best of the
WTF1?
rest in the race as well, if you don't count Alonso,
If
who
you
is
literally
who is the
ignore
best.
another.
So technically
Who
he's
is
not.
the
I think
he's
at least a
top,
half point.
Yeah.
No, we all know that is him finishing behind
But he's-
Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull.
Tommy was vague. He found the loophole.
Katie, what are you? What are you? The Tommy fan club. He's not going to give you the Danny Rick merch. Okay, he can't.
No. I think that's a half point. I'm still sticking
That
by
is an
that. Though.
absolute
Katie.
disgrace. We
Checks
all,
in the post.
so look at Tommy's little smirk. He knows exactly what he's doing here. You're a scum.
The
Absolute
clerk
scumbag.
wins our hearts. Half a point for Matt.
Okay, all right. Now I'll have half a point. Okay, Leclerc wins. Yeah, Leclerc wins anything at any point during the season. You know what I mean? He's won a race this year, surprisingly. Okay, whatever. If you're going to take the most measly half a point ever, and if that decides the championship at the end of the season, then we will be returning to that. Fans, Connor McG, 9884. At least one Ferrari to DNF. No. Matt Seven Handley, Hamilton win. No. Josh WG2, Verstappen Grand Slam. No.
You say one Ferrari to DNF.
No.
Could that be Ferrari powered car to DNF?
Oh, here we go.
I'm
half
joking.
point.
I'm literally
No,
joking.
yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, Connor. I tried.
Yeah, you did try. Fair play. Verstappen, yeah, Grand Slam. No. Did he not?
No,
Did he get-
didn't
he
lead,
got
didn't
fastest
lead every
lap?
lap, did he?
Uh,
Oh, true.
Is Grand Slam the same as Grand Chelem?
Oh no, maybe
Or
not.
are they different? Is Grand Slam
Checo
fastest
got
lap,
fastest lap
pole
as
and
well,
win?
did he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Or did-
I thought Max got
oh no, did
fastest lap.
Max get fastest lap? But I don't think it was a Grand Slam because he didn't lead every lap.
Is that what you have to do?
Yeah, he got to
I thought it
lead
was
every
Grand-
lap start to finish.
Is
Mm.
Grand
Finish.
Slam and Grand Chelem different? I don't know.
No,
They're
the same thing.
The same thing, just a different.
One just sounds posher.
Okay, cool. All right. So didn't lead every lap. Right, Monza predictions. Ferrari. So for me, Ferrari undoubtedly have an F up. Whatever that may be, it could well be the fact that they
It's so
They
strange.
exist.
they just rock up on Friday and don't go out for 10 minutes in FP. Whatever
Forget
try
it.
and
Carlos
get
Sainz
half a
forgets to
point.
tie his shoelaces or something.
Yeah, exactly. And Mercedes do not finish in the top four.
I've gone for a new podium finisher this season because Monza always seems to chuck up a random podium finisher. And then
Please.
Who could that
Bottas.
be?
Please be right, Katie.
I'm not going to say.
No, but who could that be? Who is?
Alonso.
It would have to be.
Oh, Magic Alonso. Yeah, that would be good. Doesn't matter.
Alpine should be good, I think. But
We'll see.
you still just need lots of the top guys to retire, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. And then I've gone for Bottas back in the points.
You really are
I've
an
got-
Alfa Romeo cheerleader at the moment, aren't you? You're
I
like
am.
Alpha in Q3, no chance now. You're come on, Bottas.
Last
Here we go.
year, I know he was driving a Mercedes, but Bottas was absolute fire. So I'm hoping that he's kept that spirit and he's going to be good and back in the points.
Okay. Tommy.
Alonso top 5 in quali
Oh, thanks for
and Albon in the points in the race. There you go.
Thank you.
Just to clarify.
the way you're saying that, you know that you were onto some dodgy things for that.
You don't correct it at the time, then
Well, because I had faith in you. Fans, Heno_CNS, at least 3 engine penalties. Bernard Spiteri, Ferrari 1-2, obviously. And Thomas Bunink, no points for AlphaTauri. I mean, that's going to be a point pretty much straight away, I think, with how they've been going recently. Well, isn't that lovely? The end of the Dutch GP podcast. Tommy, final thoughts? Yeah.
final thoughts.
I was always going to drop you in that after
I
your
know.
prediction shenanigans.
My final thoughts are shout out to
Here we go.
Sebastian Montoya, who got points in both his F3 debut. And when I'm bored of Verstappen dominance, I will, and hopefully he gets into Formula One and he will be my favorite driver. There you go.
Wow. Stated your allegiance straight away.
I'll be there in
Katie?
the Columbia Cape.
What's your final thoughts? And is it about Daniel Ricciardo?
It's not. My final thought is I think F1 have to start seriously considering security going into events after what happened with the flares. Because I know like there was meant to be like 120,000 people going into the Grand Prix this weekend in Zandvoort. And this isn't just a Zandvoort blame game, because it was the same in Silverstone. It's been the same in lots of places. But I feel like F1 is growing in popularity, that we need to up some of the security going into the circuits, of allowing flares, allowing whatever it may be, protest equipment for Silverstone, for example. It's tricky. Like, I was looking at the capacity for things like Wembley Arena, for example, that hosts 90,000 people, and there's an extra, 40,000 sometimes at race events. But I just feel like, to make places a bit of a safer thing, I know people are going to say I'm boring and I must be so fun at parties and all this rubbish, but I feel like the security needs to take a step up, maybe for next year. So that's my final thought.
It's a fair point. If you look at the last few races, you've had Silverstone, a track invasion. Austria, you heard all those awful things that are happening. Hungary, you've heard some terrible things that are happening. And then in Zandvoort, you had flares on the track. That's not good. Four of the
I think it's going to
last
have
few
to be a big rework with the infrastructure of the circuits as well, because it doesn't really allow for searching and things like that. You look at the Wembleys of this world and, the scanners that they have. It would take a big financial investment, wouldn't it, to be able to sort that out. And they'd need to make sure that there's enough to not cause massive backlogs of fans trying to get into the track, because on the other side it's going to cause a massive sort of choke point when trying to get into a Grand Prix. So 100% agree that there needs to be a ramp up in security, and also the infrastructure at the circuits. There'll need to be an investment there, but I don't know. I think it's going to, unfortunately, there's going to be something that happens that goes badly, and then they'll be like, right, let's ramp up the security. But I feel like at this point, they don't think anything particularly bad's gone on. So
they just put a sign up saying, "Don't light a flare." That's not going to do anything.
Yeah, like, please hand them in.
They need to do like bag checks or something, or like hand a flare in, and in exchange you get a 20 euro, like drinks voucher or something.
20 euros. Do you ever want to be bringing flares to the track?
Everyone just brings a bucket of flares. Yeah, this pays for my grandstand.
Oh my God.
Like, have a reward for like handing in,
incentivizing people to bring flares to the track.
I've completely undone my final thoughts, but like having some sort of incentive for like, you've bought a flare in, and it shouldn't be there.
€20.
Because otherwise people are never gonna hand their flares in.
Be a
or just
full-time job.
do bag checks at the gates.
I know
The
what you're
F1
trying
circuits
to
are
do.
big enough that it's not like you've just got one door and you have to do a bag check for 100,000 people. It's split up enough. Like when we went to Silverstone this year, there was enough time for somebody to have been a few people stood there to go through bags or whatever it may be. Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
We've literally seen it firsthand.
In this day and age, I think you just need scanners or something,
Just
rather
hire more
than people
people.
going
It's
through
not hard.
bags. And, in my experience of people going through bags and stuff, no one really ever checks that deep, do they? Let's be real. They all just go like that football meme where they just that doesn't even touch you and just through you go sort of thing. Anyway, well, that was a long final thought. And my final thought is I'm looking forward to... No, it's not. I'm not doing it.
Is that what I sound like?
I'm surprised.
I'm
I'm
looking
surprised you
forward
didn't
to.
say I'm looking forward to. I'm
I
very
tried.
proud of you.
I really tried.
Mine is can't wait for Monza. I don't know whether to be excited or afraid of what Ferrari could possibly achieve at their home race. I'm very sad I'm not going to be there, because I'd love to experience Monza one day. Never been, apart from arriving with Tommy in a DHL van a few days before the race and then coming back home. But never experienced Monza, but I'd love to go at some point, maybe next year, fingers crossed. But we will see you very soon for our WTF1 watch-alongs, which, of course, once again, we're back on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. WTF1 Official, go follow us over on there. And, of course, we'll have other podcasts coming out. Follow us on all audio platforms if you're listening to us. Love your stuff. Great. Don't know what I'm saying anymore. Hashtag WTF1 podcast if you want to get involved in the discussion. And also, we've got an app. Go download the WTF1 app right now. It's free. All right. It's free as free can be. Okay. So go and download it. And that's probably all the call to actions I can remember. So see you very soon. Take care. Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thanks, Team WTF1, for watching live.
Thank you.
Thank
you for watching live, Team WTF1.